Welcome back to the Homeschool Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Bex Buzzy, and today we have guest speaker Carrie Bozeman. Carrie Bozeman is the author of Before 5 in a Row and is the daughter of author Jane Claire Lambert of 5 in a Row, sister of author Becky Jane Lambert of Beyond 5 in a Row, and granddaughter of a former teacher who taught first grade for more than 30 years. It was just inevitable that Carrie was going to be an educator. Carrie was homeschooled from kindergarten to 11th grade before attending college, and she began homeschooling her own children in 2012. She's been part of 5 in a Row since the beginning in 1995, and she has helped write single unit studies for 5 in a Row in recent years. These experiences have provided a foundation that is evident in the lessons and the heart of more Before 5 in a Row. Carrie talks about why she wrote Before 5 in a Row, how 5 in a Row got their start, and the inspiration that has kept them going on for more than 3 generations of educators and just keeps them going. We also talk about, again, the same theme. Homeschooling is not school at home, but it is an extension of your home. And it can look like snuggling up with a book on a couch or spending time in a park and reading a book. You also don't have to homeschool all subjects. You can choose subjects you want to teach and find providers to cover the other subjects. We also talk about how homeschooling allows you and your child to focus in on their interests and hone their strengths. Carrie brings so much wisdom and understanding being a 4th generation educators. So go grab your coffee, go grab a tea and a pen and paper, because you're not going to want to miss what Carrie has to say. Let's get into the podcast. Welcome, Carrie. Why don't you say hello to our listeners and tell us one misconception you believe most have about homeschooling.
Thanks, Bex. Hello to everybody that's listening. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. And a misconception, oh my goodness. So I think when people think about homeschooling, they think about school at home. And most people that aren't second generation homeschoolers or aren't familiar with homeschooling, they're picturing school as in sitting at a desk, sitting at a table, textbooks, taking tests, hearing lectures for 6 to 8 hours a day. And really, that is not what homeschooling is meant to be. Homeschooling is meant to be snuggling up on the couch. It's an extension of home. It is supposed to be home for your kids. Everything that they value about your home and your family life is supposed to just seep into education. And so I think learning that your kids are learning all day, every day with you. They have been from the moment they were born. You didn't need to send them to school after they were born. You had them at home and they learned how to talk and how to walk and everything from you in your home, in that atmosphere. And that just can continue all the way as far as you want it to in their education, whether that's through 12th grade or through 6th grade or wherever you want to do that. Your home can be that for them, that education.
And that so personally, because you're second generation, right? Like your parents are the ones who basically you were homeschooled.
That's right. Yeah. My parents started in 1981 homeschooling. They were pioneers. My sister went to kindergarten and maybe first grade, I think, in the public school. And they felt like, this isn't really what we want for her. And they pulled her and started homeschooling when that wasn't a thing. My mom would go and buy used curriculum at public school sales. She would create her own curriculum, which is obviously what kind of led her eventually into creating 5 in a Row. But they just knew that they wanted their home environment to be where she learned and where she found her value and just got to experience what learning can look like.
That is so, it really is heartwarming when you hear that, because that's my vision of when I homeschool my kids, just being able to curl up and being able to be part of their learning experience.
Yeah.
Being able to be part of their learning experience, not separated from it. not outsourcing them to someone else. And, you know, I know some parents have to, you know, do that. They have to, you know, they have to work, you know,
Absolutely.
and we get that. So let's just talk about parents who are working. Now, does homeschooling have to be the normal 8 to 3 kind of thing?
Absolutely not. No, that's homeschooling is so flexible. You can do it, 2 days a week, 4 days a week. Most, not most, many homeschoolers send kids to like a co-op 1 day a week and teach the other 4 at home. Homeschooling means that you get to decide how your kids are educated, what they're learning, and who's going to teach them. Doesn't mean you have to do every single bit of it yourself. So whether you choose, online lessons for certain subjects or tutors, or you send them to a co-op 1 day a week, whether you teach after dinner from 6 to 8:30 at night, because that's when you can do it after work, and that's what that looks like for your family. Or if you teach on the road, if you're, RVing across the world, you can teach them that way. It's just the flexibility is one of the best parts of homeschooling. It's something that my parents gave me the option every year when we homeschooled from the time I was probably 7th grade on. Do you want to homeschool? Do you want to go to private school? Do you want to go to public school? And I chose homeschool every time because for me, the flexibility was just amazing. And with all the opportunities homeschoolers have today, they can play sports, they can go to co-ops and have those social interactions and not miss out on those. But still get the flexibility of homeschooling and being with their family.
And they can focus on the things that they really love, right? Like
absolutely.
They're able to just hone in, and the curriculum is there to literally support the lifestyle that a person wants. And you said people can travel, they can go do sports. Can they purchase 5 in a row curriculum and be able to maintain that kind of a lifestyle?
Absolutely. So 5 in a row it's amazing. It covers all your subjects except math and phonics if you're teaching how to read, and then spelling and grammar later on. So you only have to have one teacher's manual to cover social studies, history, geography, language arts, art, applied math, and science. So you've got one small teacher's manual, and then you can grab books from the library or you can purchase them online. And it's a literature-based unit study. So you read one picture book each day, every day for 5 days in a row. And then the lessons that you teach in each of those academic subjects are drawn from that story. So you can do that anywhere. I mean, you can do it on the couch, you can do it in bed, you can do it at the kitchen table, you can do it on the road, you can do it.
The park, you can do it
absolutely anywhere.
So I love that. And you said yours doesn't have math, but the truth is you can really add math to anything. I started really realizing that some core subjects can be literally sprinkled in the most interesting ways. Like at the end of, depending on how old your child is, at the end of reading the 5 pages, you can say, so how many pages did we read today? Oh, we read 5 pages, right?
Absolutely.
It can totally, math can come in however. And I started really realizing that you can pull things out of making it thematic, like pull things out of another type of passage. And like I said, make it thematic. And there's just so much creativity and opportunity within homeschooling. And I just have to say, like, your parents, they took your sister out of school because they felt, they felt that she should have the opportunity to learn a different way. Was that their inspiration for creating? How did the inspiration come for creating 5 in a row?
So 5 in a row, my mom loved books. She's loved books from the time she was a child. Her grandmother taught preschool, and she was a part of that and helped teach that. Her mother was a teacher. And she's told me stories of how she used to save her lunch money and skip lunch. We don't endorse this, but to go buy books. So she would go buy a golden book when she was in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade with money that she saved from her lunch money. So she just has a passion for literature and loves classic literature and wants to share that with each generation. And, a wonderful picture book is loved by anyone from 2 to 100. It's a quality picture book, a classic picture book is good for everyone. Everyone can get something from it. Everyone can enjoy it. Based on her educational upbringing with her mother and her grandmother, based on teaching my sister and I through homeschool and creating her own lesson plans when there weren't any back in the 80s and 90s, She really just learned how to draw lessons from anything. And so when I was in high school, she would have friends that had younger children. She'd invite them over to come play or hang out, give their moms a break here and there. And she'd just sit down and read stories with them. And then she'd start talking with them about what the story taught, what was in the story, what's the lesson here. And they'd go home and their moms would start calling her up and say, "What are you doing? My kids came home, they said they read a story with you, and then they're telling me all these science facts and all about history, and they remember it all, they're retaining it. What are you doing? Please write it down for us." So she just started writing down the lessons, and it turned into 5 in a row.
Oh man, that's awesome. And it seems that you and your sister got the curriculum writing or the creation bug as well.
We did.
Yeah, because your sister wrote 5 in a row beyond, but you wrote one before, right? Five in a row. Yeah, more
so
before.
It kind of bridges that gap between our preschool curriculum before 5 in a row, that's for ages 2 to 4, and then where 5 in a row starts out with ages 5 and up. There was kind of a gap there because so many people wanted to start that before curriculum with their 2-year-olds, and they'd be finished by 3.5 or 4 years old and say, well, now what do we do? Because they're not quite ready for 5 in a row. And so when I have an older daughter who's 14 and then 2 younger ones, we've got a big gap in between. So they're now 5 and 7. But when they were about 2 and 4, I had done some before 5 in a row with them. And I was kind of looking at that gap and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And so I said, well, I've got all these newer books that I read to my kids that I love. And I'm constantly teaching them lessons out of these books. I'm just going to write it down, and it's going to be that bridge the gap. So now we have the kind of complete preschool and kindergarten curriculum of before and more before 5 in a row.
Oh, that's so cool. Like you ladies are all just creative writing whizzes. I've tried writing. Oh.
That is, the writing definitely, I think, is genetic. My dad's a writer. My mom's a writer. It just comes with the family gene, I think. I'm not sure. And we love reading. We all read a lot. I think that helps. But really, homeschooling teaches you how to find answers. It teaches you how to learn. And when you're brought up that way and you're used to, I don't know, let's go find the answer. And you start reading things and you have questions. I mean, we know kids have questions nonstop all day, every day. And that natural curiosity, if we don't say, which trust me, I do. I've got a 5 and 7-year-old. I've been there. I say, no, I can't answer the 27th question today. Just go play something for a few minutes. But if we follow their natural curiosity and we are willing to, my 7-year-old now says, Mom, just look it up. Please just look it up for me. I'm like, okay. So, but if you follow that natural curiosity, they can learn so much, and they're asking hard questions. They're not asking, yes or no questions. They want to know, what's that made of? Why does it do that? And the learning depth that you can dive into if you're willing to follow their curiosity and help them, teach them where to go for that information, it's endless.
And you can probably learn as a parent or as an adult, caring for a child, probably learn so much also. I feel like as we've gotten older, sometimes our wonder, our natural curiosity has gone away because, we were in school and we were told you're asking too many questions. You are, you're a little much, all those kinds of things. And,
right.
And yeah, of course, there's a moment in time where it's like, okay, 27 question, come on. I was like,
right,
Mama,
right.
Give me a 2-minute break and I come right back and we'll start out. But, and I understand where teachers come from because I am a public school teacher too. It's like, I have 28 to 30 something kids and it's like, 1 or 2 kids asking all those questions, then you have all of them and you're like,
absolutely. It's not sustainable in a classroom setting. That's why curriculum is set up the way it is and why teachers have to just kind of proceed through, and you can't take that time to dive into each child's curiosity and natural interests. Obviously, there's just no way. So,
right. And it's funny, I heard just recently that, and it's so crazy, 'cause I guess I subconsciously always knew it, but I never actually put words to it, that curriculum is really created for the teacher, not for the student. It's how can the teacher best manage a classroom of 36?
Right.
So it's like, how can I grade fast enough? How can I, because I mean, think about it. You're grading 36 papers, I mean, regularly, right?
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's like, and that's just one classroom. If you have like 3 to 5 classes. So it kind of mounts up. I really did hear that the other day, and I was like, I had to take a pause and think like, yeah, and it's hard on a teacher to go that route and think that, because we really do love teaching, but at the end of the day, we're either going to get burnt out. I've had 15-hour work days, like literally 15-hour work days, where I'm just 8 in the morning and I'm done by 11 p.m. at nighttime, and I gotta do it all over again, and I'm just like really, really exhausted. And after a while, you do start taking shortcuts, and you're like, I just can't keep doing this. I'm gonna, for 20 years, I'm gonna lose my mind. It's like,
Sure. Yeah.
So that's why I love everything about homeschool. I love everything about homeschool, because this is exactly what a teacher wants to do. This is what
absolutely.
It just seems like it's like education nirvana to me. It sounds terrible, but I'm just like, oh my gosh,
If you look back in history too, I mean, that tutor style education, the one-on-one or 2-to-1 teacher ratio, that's what people did for all of history. That either homeschool, or if you had enough money, you hired tutors, and it's just, you can follow those questions to their natural end if you take the time, and if you are one-on-one, or even even if you've got 7-on-1, like it's doable. But classroom, you got to kind of keep presenting the information the best way you can. And teachers are amazing. Like classroom teachers, I have all my respect, because I cannot even imagine. I've got my 2 and I'm like, okay, just be quiet for 1 minute, please. So
I love that. So now your curriculum, you guys support, different lifestyles. Your curriculum supports, just the opportunity not to have to sit at a table, and bring out so many different gems from the books and everything. Are you able to also like tap into different learning styles and learning differences in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So 5 in a row is based on a concept called low floor, high ceiling. And basically it's when information is presented in a way that anyone can learn from. So that's the low floor. So with 5 in a row, you read a picture book, and then, or a chapter book for the older kids, and then you present lessons that are drawn from that story. And a 2-year-old that's listening is going to pick up on things when you're pointing to pictures in the book. And, if you're talking about Madeline, and here's Paris, France, and here's the Eiffel Tower, like a 2-year-old's going to start picking up on that information. So that's a low floor. Everybody can enter. If you have a Down syndrome child or neurodivergent, they're going to be able to learn from those lessons. And then you've got kind of the grade level, which is just reading the picture book and then doing the lessons in the manual. So if you use the curriculum as it's intended, you are going to be at grade level for your student, because it is written on a scope and sequence to meet those learning needs. But then it's got this high ceiling where if you've got an advanced student, and obviously we know that in homeschool, we kind of have a joke about grades. Like if you ask a homeschooler what grade they're in, sometimes they're not going to be able to tell you, because they might be in, 4th grade in math, but they might be in 9th grade in English. Like there's so many different levels. And so that high ceiling is that your child's natural curiosity can take them as high as they want to go. So after you've read the story and you've done the lessons for the day, if they've asked questions during that time, sometimes I'll write it on a Post-it note. If I can't take the time in the moment and I want to finish the lesson first, I'll write it down. But if they've got a question, say, okay, now I don't know the answer to that. And that's honestly one of the best things you can say as a teacher. I don't know. Let's go find it out. Let's go research. Let's figure out where to find that answer, because now you're teaching them how to learn. So you take their question and then you run with it. Maybe you order books from the library today. Maybe you look it up online. Maybe you find a video about it. And suddenly they're gaining an in-depth deep dive into a lesson that might be taking them 2 or 3 grade levels above where there should be, just from their question. So you've got that low floor all the way to the high ceiling. And that's also how you can incorporate teaching multiple ages from the same curriculum. So many homeschoolers have lots of kids, right?
Yeah.
or several kids of different ages. I've got 5, 7, and 14. At the moment, my 14-year-old has finally kind of moved above and beyond. She's in high school. She's got, we've moved out of 5 in a row, so she's using her own curriculum. But when she was 12 and I had, what would that be? 3, 5, and 12, I really wanted to bring them together occasionally to learn together and just get that sibling experience, the family learning experience. And one of the products we sell is called a mini unit. And it is the same concept as 5 in a row. It's a picture book with lessons that are drawn from that, but it has lessons included for ages 2 through 12. So it covers all of the ages that 5 in a row curriculum covers, but all in one unit. And so we'd sit there and read the story together, and then we'd pull lessons for the 3 and 5-year-old and pull the lessons for the 12-year-old and kind of assign different things at the table to each one. And so again, that low floor, high ceiling, it allows it to be spanned really to any age. I mean, you could assign college work from the same picture book. If you're reading about Ping on the Yangtze River in China, you could have a college student write an essay, a 2-page essay about fishing practices in China. You really can span it anywhere you want to go with it.
That's really dynamic. Because I was going to ask you, take me through a day of what it would look like to use one of the lessons in 5 in a row. I think you did a really great job at that, just explaining how to break off, into different age levels and really kind of match where they're at. That's really cool. I love that. That's really important because I know a lot of parents, even when it comes to finances, they still want to be able to support their child, educationally, academically, and give them a quality education. But sometimes the finances, they feel like, oh, well, I can't do this. And I find that through homeschooling, there's so many ways that you can grab a hold of a curriculum that you really, really love and start branching out into different things. And now, literally, honestly, with the internet, you could take someone's curriculum and you can add so many things in there from like you said, hey, let me look up what are some fishing practices in Japan or an Asian country, and you can learn about it really quick. Say, hey, you know what, give your child that as a writing assignment or even as a research. Hey, create for me a video on with like voiceover on this, so they have to still write it out. They create a video.
They can make a podcast, they can make a blog, they can make a scene on Minecraft. You can assign anything in different areas, have them go build the Eiffel Tower from Madeline out of Legos. And all of that counts as learning, obviously, and as hours.
It is learning. That's engineering.
Yes, exactly.
That's engineering, that's software engineering. That's the thing is, I feel sometimes we forget that education just does not live in a building.
Right.
Education is so wide and vast that we can give the future of our children such depth and such understanding, and really position them in such a way that, oh my goodness, talk about meeting age level. I mean, they're gonna by far surpass it on all levels, because I'm gonna be very, very honest. Like I said, I teach, I don't know if I did say it, but I teach upper level sciences, physics, biology, chemistry, right?
Okay.
And the curriculum that my district gives me is not on age level. It's not. It's years younger. It's between 8th, 7th grade. They're not age level. At 11th grade, they're not age level at all. At all. So when I hear parents thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna be like, by the time your kid hits high school, they're gonna be so far advanced. And if they're homeschooled, and now the opportunity to have your child take half a year of credits of college credits while they're in their junior and senior year.
Absolutely. Dual enrollment is a no-brainer. it's a win-win for you as the homeschool teacher, and it's a win-win for them as the student, because then they get to start already ahead.
Exactly.
So
I know. So, it's the opportunities here are amazing. And I love what your curriculum does, how it supports multiple families, multiple learning, differences. It is engaging, coloring, it's multi-generational. It brings families in, it builds relationships, it teaches how
absolutely.
to learn. I mean, I'm not sure you could ask for much more. So I think, as we're wrapping this up, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find your resources and purchase some of these curriculums?
Absolutely. 5inarow.com is where we sell all of our curriculum and all of the extra resources that go with that. If you order directly from us, you get the story discs, which are the geography tool that we use for free. And we also sell through Rainbow Resource Center and Amazon. So again, on those two sites, you won't get those story discs for free, but especially for international users, those are where you're going to want to head, because we don't sell internationally on 5inarow.com.
So now a real quick question, when they get your curriculum, is your curriculum, is it like turnkey where there's like a step-by-step kind of manual to help them walk through a lesson?
So each unit, after you read the story, each lesson is laid out for you, and it's going to say, discuss this with your student, and it'll give you, most of the time it just gives you kind of verbatim what you can say. And you can either have the manual open with you and kind of read it out from the manual to them, or you can even be super sneaky and read it ahead of time. And you're driving in the car, hey, remember when we read Madeline last week, or yesterday? Let's talk about how there were 12 little girls in 2 straight lines. Well, if they were in 2 lines and there were 12 girls, how many girls would be in each line? That's right, 6. Yeah. Well, how many groups of 2 is that? Or it talked about where she was from. Do you guys remember where she was from? It's where the Eiffel Tower is. Yeah, that's right. It's Paris, France. So it's so many of the lessons are discussion based. And again, I didn't really get into that, but with, who that's good for in terms of learning styles. Discussion based is great for your ADHD kiddo. Really, every kiddo is a little bit ADHD, right? It's hard to sit still. Me too. So discussion based is great. And if you can turn off that part of your brain that says they need to be sitting still, there's so many kids out there that are auditory learners. I was completely. And my mom, I don't know if she knew that to begin with, or I think she learned that later, but she gave me the grace to, do chin-ups on the table while she was talking to me. Once she figured out that as soon as she started asking the questions, I knew everything she had said. And she was able to learn that and figure out, okay, she needs to be moving. She needs to be doing something. And that looked different as I grew. She'd give me, clay and Play-Doh to play with my hands to keep me busy so that I could listen and hear everything. So auditory learners, discussion-based learning is a great tool for them. Play-based learning, we haven't even gotten into that, but so that's for all of your hands-on learners and really everyone. I read an article that was talking about how many repetitions it takes to learn something, to create that synapse in the brain. And it takes 400 repetitions. That's a lot of repetitions, right?
Oh, yes.
Unless it's done through play. If it's done through play, it takes 10 to 12 repetitions.
Whoa, say that one more time.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So to create a synapse in your brain, to learn something, to create that connection between what you're hearing and what the answer is, it takes 400 repetitions. Obviously that differs, that's an average, because some people can read it once and remember it. We know that. But scientifically, they've shown that it takes 400 repetitions unless it's done through play. And if it's done through play, it takes 10 to 12 repetitions.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That really, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, how can I do that with myself? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, and interest-based, that's how adults learn. We learn because it's our interest, right? If you're not being forced to learn something, whether, or you have to learn it for work, or you have to learn it for this or that. If you suddenly got an interest in gardening, that's your interest. You're going to jump online, you're going to watch tutorials, you're going to find books, you're going to watch videos of how to, and you are going to learn as much as you want to learn about gardening. You're going to learn about what kind of insects eat what kind of plants and the entomology behind that. You're going to learn about, the pH of soil and the science behind that. It's just exponential how much you're going to learn if you are interest driven.
It's true. It's 100% true. Yeah. When I was in high school, I couldn't learn history at all. Like social studies was probably one of the most challenging. I mean, I barely passed that class ever. And I got to college and I took a art history class. In this art history class, in 3 months, I learned everything that I was supposed to learn in those 3 years because I learned it through the lens of art.
Yeah. So that's a unit study. So you take one subject or one topic, and for you it was art, and you learned history through it. And that's what a unit study is. So that's what 5 in a row is with literature based. So it takes the picture book and then teaches all the lessons from it. And for most children, a picture book is something that engages them and is an interest for them, which means that the lessons that are drawn from it are going to be interest-based learning for them. They are going to be interesting. So the same way that we have an interest and take off and learn from it, 5 in a row provides the interest in that picture book and then the lessons drawn from it for your children.
What a great analogy. And with that, I'm going to ask my last question because we've spoken about a lot. I want to know, what is one giant takeaway that you want our listeners to get from this conversation today?
Oh, just that homeschooling provides memory making opportunities. That I've heard there's an analogy with marbles, that somebody put marbles in a jar for each summer that their child would live at home, and that those marbles went away really fast. And as they got less and less, they really started to stress out. I've only got 6 summers left with them. And when your child's in school, a lot of that opportunity to connect with them, especially today, we've got extracurriculars, we've got sports on the weekends, and as homeschoolers, we do it too. My daughter's in sports, she's got tournament weekends, all of the above. But when they're also in school 8 hours a day, you really start to lose those opportunities.
That connection.
For just that deep family connection, for that chance to speak into their lives, and have your voice be heard. When you've got a classroom full of 20 or 30 other kids and you multiply that by how many classes they have a day, like how loud is your voice going to be to them? Not very loud for most of those kids. And then your time with them, you might have a hour at dinner or an hour before bed, and then weekends. Homeschooling, obviously, you're responsible for teaching them, but you're also responsible for, or you get to just kind of revel in and live in those memories making opportunities with them every day. You don't have to relegate those to weekends or summers. That feeling that you got when they took their first step, you get to have that when they read their first book, and you taught them how to read. You get to, and that's a scary thing, teaching your kid how to read. You're like, I don't know if I can do this. You can absolutely do it.
Right.
And getting to hear them read that first book to you, or read that first word or that first sentence, and getting to be a part of that, it's just amazing. It's such a great feeling.
I can't even imagine actually helping your child read and opening up that moment, that opening up their eyes to that, opening up the opportunity for them to expand their mind and
explore the world, explore history, explore science. They get to explore all of it. Yeah. And you get to be a part of that.
Right. Exactly. So, wow.
We had a parent write in a testimonial this year that their son was graduating. They were dropping him off at college, and they had done 5 in a row with him through his early years, through elementary school. And, she posted this and I was like, wow, that's kind of overwhelming. But he gave her a hug and he said, thanks so much for homeschooling me, Mom. And thank you for doing 5 in a row with me and for making those memories and snuggling with me and reading me those stories. Like, to have a grown son heading off to college that voices that thanks to you. I'm not there yet, and I don't have boys, but I have girls. But I hope that they feel that way about our time together. And I know that we've made memories and inside jokes and things we reference and things we talk about through everything we've learned and done together. And I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, and someone else had said once before, you're going to go through hard times regardless. So this homeschooling actually makes life easier in a sense, because you're part of things that you normally wouldn't be part of, and the bonds and connections get so much deeper. Yes, everyone's going to have issues. It's obvious, but
sure,
that's just life, right? That's just life. And as you're talking about the guy going to college, he was able to articulate and verbalize that because he was taught in a safe environment where his thoughts, his emotions, his feelings were heard by his parents, the ones he loves the most, and wants their approval, their love, their attention, and they also want that from him. You know what I mean? It's a reciprocal. It doesn't go just one way.
Right.
And unfortunately, you do see the public school system a lot of broken kids. It's just more than the healthy kids. And it is sad. So I love your takeaway. Thank you so much, Carrie, for coming on today and just sharing your testimony, sharing all your knowledge, all of your wisdom, and just sharing with us your family's legacy. How beautiful is that? Your mom, dad, you, your sister, your legacy.
I love getting to be a part of it. Thank you so much, Bex, for having me on your show.
Definitely. You've been listening to the Homeschool Advantage podcast, where you get the scoop on all the latest vendors that fit your lifestyle. Thanks for listening. Also, follow me wherever you listen to your podcast to stay up to date on the next episode. You can also visit my website where the episodes will be, and for my free lesson plan course, which can help you if you have different vendors and you're wondering, how do I make them all flow together? Let me help you with that. And if you're a vendor and you think you would like to be on the podcast, send me an email, realedtalk@gmail.com. Leave me your name, contact, website, and I'll get back to you. Thanks for stopping in with me, and I'll see you on the next time.